Bryce, you brought up that is audiobook even reading? What do you think about that?
Oh, I have opinions.
Okay. You're on a podcast. Let's do it.
Exactly. Opinions into the ether. That's what we do.
Welcome back, everybody, to Ramble, episode 58. We are your hosts. I'm Austin. That is
Richard.
And guess what? We have a special guest today. He is another booktuber named Shelf-Centered Bryce. Welcome to the show.
I'm gonna. Can we rename it to 3 to Ramble now? Is that cool?
We'll take it under advisement.
We'll see if you're worthy, okay? We'll see. Bryce has a great booktube channel. Go check him out. And he talks all books, Stormlight stuff, everything we do, but a little bit more eloquently, I'd say.
He's a lawyer.
Yeah.
So
he has children. We are children. There's a big difference between Bryce and us, all right? So today we're going to be discussing the 3 big ways of reading and digesting books. We're going to be talking physical books, audiobooks, ebooks. What are our favorites? Are there problems?
Which one's better? Which one's worse? Is one of us a snob, or is, we're asking the big questions here.
And since we got Bryce as a guest, let's lead it off with you. Which is the superior form of digesting your books?
Oh man, I got, and even more specific too. I'm gonna say, mass market paperback. Mass market, even.
Really?
Mass market.
Throwing the gauntlet right now.
That, I think, is the worst way to consume books.
Wait, you just skipped over hardcover, skipped over trade paperback.
Which, spoilers, by the way, if you're going to read a physical book, trade paperback, the way to go.
We should ask Bryce questions, cut him off, talk about why he's wrong, ignore him the whole time. All right, Bryce, let's give the lawyer his stand. Go ahead.
I'm just here to give fodder, right? Like, you guys just go. This is great.
No, Bryce. What? So trade paperback. Oh, sorry, mass market. I mistakenly said that because it's so shocking of news to me. So why mass paperback?
You're like, I can't even say it again. It's just like, it just feels good in the hand, right? Speaking of Sanderson, this is my beat up copy. I don't know. There's something, and maybe it's just about like how I read as a kid, and that's like what I had access to or something, but it feels good. And especially when you get those like huge tomes and you're like this much into it, it's even just more so as opposed to a hardcover. Now, I love the looks of a hardcover. I'm not saying like they look much better on a shelf. Absolutely. And then I haven't even addressed the fact that what do I actually read more right now, which is audio. So I'm all over the place.
Okay.
Well, you're along with, I think most readers now listen to audiobooks rather than physical books. That's why Audible is such a huge market in the industry. But that's actually something Austin and I disagree on. I personally see how audiobooks and physical books are basically the same. If a book requires me to reread passages, then okay, audiobooks that's not for that book. So complex sci-fi.
Right.
All right, I want to physically read it. But other than that, it's about the same. This guy over here apparently just can't get into audiobooks. If it's an audiobook, he just won't like the book.
You see, the problem, and first off, I did some research here, and I'm going to throw in a stat at you guys, okay?
Oh, not fair.
No, it's a stat that went off of what you were saying.
Okay.
It's curious because over 23% of U.S. adults stated that they've listened to an audiobook over the last 12 months. This is in 2021. So it's like about a quarter of America says they've listened to at least one, which that's a very sizable amount. I don't know what the reading numbers are, as physical books go. So it's very popular. It's a great way to consume books, but for me, it is tough. And the number one reason why being I feel like when I have an audiobook on, I'm always able to do something else. So I could be in the car driving, and obviously that's more monotonous, or I could be cooking and doing something else. And my brain, for some reason, it's just a little bit tougher to focus on 2 things at once. And when I'm trying to get involved in some of the best epic fantasy, like my Stormlight, my anything, it lowers the emotion just a bit because my mind is even a percent elsewhere. So that's why I prefer trade paperback, emphasize trade paperback, but I prefer the physical book just so I can digest it all. If it's a book I care less about, I'll listen to the audiobook in the background. But Bryce, do you have that problem with audiobooks at all?
Oh man, that's a good question. And I think, I mean, just to lawyer you guys a little bit here. That's not even at all.
Hey, I was in mock trial in high school. I got this.
I judged a mock trial competition a couple years ago and was like, this is interesting being on this end, you know?
Nice. I watched My Cousin Vinny. I'm qualified.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best. Well, just to like put a stat, you know, like, I don't know, for a while there, it was, I don't know, there was like a stat that was like only like, it's something ridiculous, like something so low that I can't even think of it right now, but it's like 10% of people even read a book after high school or something, right? Like it was something just like so ridiculous that I'm like, to hear that stat on because audiobooks are like so popular right now and go, oh, people are actually like able to read again. And that's kind of a cool thing. But I will say I have actually a video. It's like, it's one of those where it just slowly starts creeping up and suddenly it's like my second most viewed video, whereas when it started, it was like, meh. But it's comparing all the audiobook apps. And one of the biggest thing out of them is like the fast forward rewind, like you can do 15 seconds usually or 30 seconds. And I am a big proponent on hammering that rewind, the go back just 30 seconds. If you missed it, I'm constantly doing that, which I'm sure would drive some people nuts. But absolutely, even I consider myself a pretty experienced audiobook reader. And again, that's always an argument. Is it reading? We could get into that. So, you know, I do a lot of them now and I constantly have one going. So I can focus way better now than like when I started, for sure. Everything is like squirrel, you know, whatever. Oh, what did I even, you know, but I feel like I can do that with physical, like I have a physical book and I can literally read every single word on a page and go, what was that? Did I just read?
Yeah.
You know, same kind of like an idea pops in your head and you're like, yeah.
And you're totally right about the rewind. When Rich and I are in long drives, we've listened to a couple audiobooks together. I have to rewind quite a bit.
Frequently, and it annoys me.
And he hates me for it.
That's what I was going to say. That'd be annoying.
Oh, yeah, it pisses me off.
And I miss something important. If I'm driving, something like you said, squirrel. Oh, look, there's something over there.
It's a whole 30 seconds though. Oh God. Like
you can
sometimes you'll do it like 3-4 times in a row and I have to listen to the same thing 5 times.
All right, it's not that bad.
I learned because somebody actually pointed out, because I did that video, they were like, you can actually adjust Audible, even the rewind to 15 seconds, because that's what I prefer. That's like, if you want to go 30, you can still go 30, but you know, you sometimes just need a 15. That's all, just a quick, like, get back a little bit.
Oh, we got to adjust that for the next drive.
Yeah, that'd probably be smarter.
Yeah, audiobooks. But Bryce, you brought up that, is audiobook even reading? What do you think about that?
Oh, I have opinions.
Okay. You're on a podcast. Let's do it.
Exactly. Opinions into the ether. That's what we do.
Yes.
Let's see. First of all, yes, I would say. But the thing is, it always depends. What is your definition of reading, right? So is it actually like reading? And if you consider reading like with your eyes reading, like then it's not reading, I guess, right? Like if reading can only be with your eyes, sure. But if you can say, have I read such and such books? Like I feel like an audiobook, if you've read it on audio, you can say, I have read those. I know. And so I think the point about it being like, yes, you can, you know, you're not technically reading, you're listening, right? That's the you're using your ears, you're hearing.
Such lawyer talk. I love it. It's like, let's look at the definition, right? Yeah.
So that's where I'm going with it. Is it like, can you say you have read a book having only read it or listened to it on audio? Absolutely. Because I mean, what's the difference for me? I read a regular book in, you know, a physical book in the slowest way possible, which is to have a monologue going in your head, right? Just like I learned in school. I know a lot of people can they just blaze through and read much faster. Like even my 12-year-old son, he like blazes through these Sanderson books. Man, I'm like, you're already like, you've read every single thing? I have nothing left to give you?
Oh my, your 12-year-old son's reading Sanderson books?
It is insane. Oh yeah. And I'm like, I can't even
Wow.
keep up. He's like rereading. He's like, can you get me Rhythm of War again? I want to read that again.
Your son's going places.
Yeah.
He read the newest, The Secret Project. What is it, the Magician or whatever?
Already?
In like the first day, it was like I was like, here you go. I know you're just gonna be done soon. And I was like,
Bryce,
I wasn't expecting
Yeah.
you're already done the night of.
I mean, no offense, but you need to pass the mantle of your channel to your son already.
Yeah, I'd rather let's get your son on the podcast instead of you next time.
Oh, I was like, you can get anything your video earns. I will give you every bit of it. All 3 cents. You will get it. All yours.
that and by the way, totally agree with your thoughts on audiobooks being reading versus, is it actually reading? Yes. Is it technically the definition? If you consider it with your eyes. What do you think, Rich? Because I think everything was accurate there.
On the outcome of it, so there's effectively no difference in outcome of if you've read a book physically versus you've read through an audiobook. So you ultimately, know all the characters, the plot lines. If asked about the book, you can answer questions. So it's effectively no difference. However, I do think the act of physically reading with your eyes, there are certain skills that come from that you do not get from an audiobook. So when you physically read, you are gaining certain skills. And I think one of it is probably focus and your attention span. It can be honed when you physically read versus when you're listening to an audiobook. It's just it's in your head. Like how I read audiobooks is driving or walking, and my mind is just, because when I drive, I'm not using any of my brain. It's just complete autopilot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I can focus solely on the book, and it's fine. But you're just not totally present versus I could always listen to an audiobook for hours and hours. It's fine. But with a physical book, you have to train yourself to a certain degree. Like when you first start, it's hard to get like 15 minutes of solid reading in. But then if you practice that, you can read for like an hour at a time or 2 hours. So I do think you are missing a tangible skill.
So you empathize with my point, and it's a little tougher for me to listen to audiobooks.
And
I can sympathize also because me personally, I read a physical book twice as fast as I can listen to a book.
Bryce, do you ever do that on your audiobooks? Do you ever do 1.5 speed or something like that?
Oh man, yeah, I can't even it's like nails on a chalkboard to go regular speed. I have to at least do 1.5. It does depend on the narrator, right? I've done some up to 2. That's getting into a little too crazy, but it's doable on some, especially on a reread. And then 1.5, 1.25 I've even done just when it's like they're already kind of a quicker narrator. I feel like a lot of them kind of the way you're almost taught to read, I'm assuming in audiobook reading school.
Yeah, right.
It's like to just read it slow, and then you won't mess it up, and then people can get to the speed they want to get to.
I always find when you speed it up, you'd lose some of the cadence, and it really, I can't listen to a 1.25 or a 1.5 on Audible, because then it kind of bugs my brain of like, it feels wrong. Like I can notice it going too fast and just...
So we're
the voice is a little higher now, and it's...
Right.
Yeah.
Especially with like a Star Wars book. Star Wars books, they include like pew pew pew.
Oh, do they?
And like
and so
the music,
faster.
and then so you have the music like dun, 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 dun. Oh.
Right, where's it? So we have 3 different perspectives then, where Bryce needs it at 1.5, you need it at 1. I can't even listen to it at 0.
You have to listen to it 3 times.
3 times. I have to rewind, play it in 0.5 speed.
Yeah.
So they really spell it out. So,
is that negative at that point?
Yeah, pretty much. It's rewinding the book. I start at the end. Complete tangent here. Have you heard of these people, Bryce? Have you heard of the people that start and read the last chapter of a book to see if they like it?
Oh, I think they're crazy.
They're monsters.
Okay.
And actually, I'm gonna
They probably dog you.
I'm gonna throw my mother under the bus here.
Oh.
Because I know you're watching the podcast.
Oh.
I know you, for some reason, don't care about spoilers and are perfectly fine reading the last page and last chapter of a book. You're a monster, Mom. I'm gonna wait for the call Monday morning.
That's a whole nother conversation too of spoilers. Like that's a whole nother tangent we can get on too. But keeping it with the frame of this, audiobooks are still reading, and you still got the book just like everyone else did. Different capabilities. Some people prefer it. You guys more than me for sure. I do think it helps as well with here's another stat for you guys, that according to the Pew Research Center, this is very recent, about 64% of American adults say they have read a book in the past 12 months now. And I think that's increased. This is 2022. I think that is really increased because of audiobooks. I don't think, and also because, late COVID and people probably going inside more, reading became more of a hobby, audiobooks more accessible. So kudos to audiobooks for being a huge gateway into
I think
the
also a not insignificant factor is, TV and movies have gotten just progressively worse. And so got to get back to classics. Got to get back to Old Faithful.
Oh, I so hope our Stormlight and Mistborn and all those adaptations are good. I trust Sanderson. I trust he's going to get a good team together.
You better. We put too much faith in that man for him to fail us.
I'm frankly at a point where it's like, let's just not have adaptations. Like, if we're just not going to do it perfully, like, I just prefer not to. Like, just don't even go there.
Isn't that so sad that most fantasy fans now are like not like even 5 years ago, but 5-10 years ago, whenever an adaptation was announced, all the fans were super excited. Like, oh my God, yay, we get to see it on the screen. Like, it's going to be so cool.
Oh yeah.
And even if it wasn't particularly good, it normally had some type of like heart or charm to it that it didn't like, oh, they got it wrong, but it didn't feel malicious or bad. Where nowadays it just is just a defeated sense of, please don't adapt my favorite thing.
Like, you hate us, don't you? Whoever adapted this, I feel it in my bones.
It feels that way, and this is more of just a selfish kind of thing. Where when I was reading The Wheel of Time, and I was talking to someone about The Wheel of Time, and they said, "Oh, the TV show? Yeah, I thought it was okay," and I'm just sitting there going, no, not the TV show. Please don't think of the TV. The books.
The books.
And it makes me sad because that's their impression of The Wheel of Time is the TV show, not the book. So it taints its legacy, its image, its brand.
It does. Absolutely.
And then you have the once in a generation Lord of the Rings, where it brings the brand to a whole new level, and it gets people into the books as well. Whereas more recent adaptations,
Rings of Power.
Yeah, Rings of Power. Where that I'm so afraid that one day I'll say the word Lord of the Rings to a younger folk, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I saw Rings of Power." That'll be their first introduction. I rue the day. I rue the day.
God.
Did you see Brandon Sanderson's reaction to Dan Wells's rating of it? I think it's like the best thing ever.
It's just grimace.
Oh yeah, it's like an 8 out of 10. He's like.
Bryce just gave the perfect face. That's exactly what Sanderson looked like. It was exactly like that. He goes, 8 out of 10? No.
So good.
Yeah. Okay, going from audiobooks, what do you guys think of ebooks versus physical books here? What do you think is a big advantage? And I'm going to toss one out into the ether for you two. I think a huge pro of ebooks, although I prefer my physical books, is you can note take without ruining the thing, and it's kind of cool that you can go back and have tabs. It's much easier.
The best part about ebooks for me personally is being able to lay on my side in bed and read without an awkward angle. Because if you're on your side in bed, inevitably one half the book is like on the bed or in the air, and so you have to constantly shifting and moving it, and it's so awkward and it's terrible. I hate it. But with an audiobook, like, I can set up my pillow and just lean it against it and just very easily read it. It has a backlight, so I can turn off the lights.
Right.
That's the best part about an ebook.
But then you have to get your finger into the cold air. It's just terrible.
Oh, you know what I did?
Press it.
I have an arm that can hold a tablet, and it sticks to my headrest of my bed, and so I literally am laying down with my head in the head on the pillow, and this arm is holding my e-reader in there, and so I don't even have to hold it anymore. I just read and then occasionally swipe.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you don't have a clicker at this point.
I should. That would be great. Then I don't have to move anything.
Yeah. Is that a thing? If that's an option, I'm getting it.
It's awesome. I love it. It's especially when it can also hold my Switch, and so I can lay in bed and just play the Switch while fully reclined.
Which is one of the detriments to a big hardback, Oh
yeah, it's every time. Now, hey, hardbacks, you gotta whoa. We went way off here.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
You lawyered us out of this. What? Wait, no, you need to get back to your defense of mass paperback. I don't know how you connived us this whole time.
He knows he doesn't have an argument, so he deflected. That's what he did.
I see. We call you to the witness stand, sir.
Permission to treat the witness as hostile.
Yes. So mass paperback. We need to get back into why mass paperback. It's so I honestly do feel like it's probably just because that's what I would read as a kid, and it was small for a kid, it's so I kind of like that and grew to be used to that. It's just I am so nervous with my hardcovers. I think too that I don't want to harm them. I need them pristine on my shelf. I take off the jacket to read them if I do have a hardcover to read, and I want to keep them pristine as much as I can. And oh crap, I just harmed the page or whatever, or accidentally sat on it or something, done that sadly.
That's the beauty of a trade paperback.
Oh, here we go.
It's the beauty of it. You get the best of both worlds. It's the best part about a trade paperback is you want to hand me my Wheel of Time there.
Oh, here you go. We have it on
the best
display.
Reading experience is being able to just when I'm at a table. It holds the page perfectly. It's soft and nice big pages to easily read. The pages are a better quality. And you know what's even better about it? This isn't a hardback. So,
okay,
it's great.
Did you just Daniel Green that? I cannot believe I saw Daniel Green right there.
Now, in Bryce's defense, okay, I will say this. You got on something. You're convincing me a little bit, okay? The one thing about mass paperbacks is when you read them, it does look lived in. It looks like, you put that on your shelf and you go, I remember when I tore through that. Look at how much I destroyed it.
Yeah.
And there's a satisfaction.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Like my skate shoes when I attempted to skateboard.
There you go. and look at this. You have no proof that Richard has read The Wheel of Time. He is a con artist. Look how pristine it all is.
I will never read those books. I will never touch that. I'm never opening the pages.
No,
they stay that way.
I just opened my tress and was like, "Am I allowed to do this?
Oh yeah,
should be doing this."
Yeah. This is a wonderful looking book. I can't wait to. Thing is, I don't have many opportunities to read a hardback book because I just generally don't read hardback. If I like a book well enough. Mm-hmm. I'll read the trade paperback or mass market if it's not available, and then if I like it enough, I'll buy the hardcover to put on the shelf.
That's the way to go.
Unless it's new. Unless it's super brand new, then I can only buy the hardback. But other than that,
honestly, that's a big reason why a lot of indie authors should send. Oh, this is so. It's gonna sound selfish, but this is not. I promise. But I was just listening to this in a video from Daniel Green where indie authors should send their PDFs, their ebooks, to as many people as possible. It does not matter because even when you get that ebook, so many readers are inclined to then, if they like it, they'll buy the physical book. They want it on their shelf. It doesn't hurt you monetarily. It gets your book out there more.
It's still free, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So everybody who has one, send it to Ramble at gmail.com. That's where the selfishness comes in. But Bryce, have you done that where people shoot you out emails going, "Hey, can you read my book?" and those sorts of things?
Absolutely. I used to. So I started out, I'm an old man. We've established that. I'm glad we've gotten there. Back in, I want to say 2009, 2010-ish, I started blogging, right? And that was like the thing, right? It was, I could have been a like cool guy that was on the head of BookTube and done YouTube, I guess, but I was not. I'm not ahead of the game. I'm a follower of the game. And so that's where it kind of started. But I learned very quickly, like what happens is, because it was just like, I'd get, and I think the big publishers are a little more stingy, but I'd get my Tors and my Orbits and my, Pyre, I think is still printing stuff. Anyway, just, and they just stack up and they're beautiful. But the issues, because I'm going to look a gift horse in the mouth here, is that you see them and you're like, well, I have to read that new shiny, beautiful thing coming in every month. But they start to dictate your whole TBR, right? And then suddenly it's just what other people want you to read is what you're reading, when it's like, wait, I also buy too many books. I also so it's not like I, or I already have 1,000 extra books I haven't even read yet, that I bought. And it's like, so I don't hurt for books. So it was something that I learned, that it was like, you gotta, I'm always happy. And that's why my new policy has been just to like go, I will feature anything in a book haul, send it to me, fine. But I make zero promises anymore. I used to promise way too much, and I just would disappoint literally everyone, especially myself.
Yeah.
It's
we are
hard.
just starting to run into that problem too, where it's gonna get to the point where we have to go, hey, we have to look at what we can physically do with our time, time of the day, And I did hear. Sorry, Rich, you had a point.
I was just saying, for our time now is we have a book club. For Patreon subscribers, if you want to support us, we do a book club once a month, and part of our...
He's talking to the audience, or not you, Bryce.
I do.
But so... And now part of our obligations, especially, is we need to read the book club book of the month.
Yep.
We're doing Wheel of Time, so that's 2 books. And then on top of that, anything else that comes our way for beta reads, for just fun, we got to pick up, like new Sanderson book comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So, it gets...
Good thing he doesn't produce very many.
I still haven't read Tress of the Emerald Sea.
Neither
have I.
Heard it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I know.
And I haven't gotten around to it.
Oh, it's so sad. It's that is, time management is a big deal. And
so hard.
Bryce, I hope this hasn't happened for you yet. It has not happened for us either. But I know this for Daniel Green, and we interviewed Brian McClellan, the Powder Mage author, and he said this, that when he got into writing, he stopped reading fantasy. And Daniel Green, as he became a bigger booktuber, and there was so much, he doesn't. It's more work. It feels like more work for him. I don't want to speak for him because I think I heard that. It's more vague. But I know Brian did say he doesn't read
for a
now.
Time. I think he said for a time it did. It
for
just,
a time?
it ebbs and flows.
But for Brian, for sure, he's just stopped reading fantasy for the most part. Are you feeling that at all? I hope you're not feeling that. Are you feeling any fatigue?
I can definitely say the magic isn't there for when I remember first starting and just having this magical feeling. I was scouring the blogs and one of the it's still going today. SFF World is this great just forum online, because that's the was the way to interact. Just created all the time, and you can see my channel. I'm a little too crazy about Malazan. So it's definitely not there.
I'm gonna ramble 3 to the audio. You
the book.
Hey everybody, Austin here. I have the lights like this just to set the mood of what I'm about to say. We had a full conversation with Bryce that went an hour long, and you might be wondering, why am I cutting it at the 30-minute mark? Well, Rich and I, we tried recording in 4K for the first time, and stupidly, we didn't test a recording that went an hour long, so our encoder overloaded, and the file got corrupted halfway through, but we were able to salvage the 29 minutes that you just saw, and we wanted to upload it because Shelf-Centered Bryce was awesome. The rest of the conversation was so much fun. I wish we had the footage. We've been beating ourselves up over this. So sorry that this episode's cut short, and sorry to Bryce for not having the full thing, but there's literally nothing we can do to salvage it, and we're going to make sure this doesn't happen again. Oh, it really sucks because it was so much fun. Please go subscribe to Shelf Centered. Give him some appreciation, and we'll be back next week with a new pod episode where this won't happen, and we'll have, of course, other videos coming up. Sorry, everybody. I wish we had the full hour-long episode. I can't tell you how frustrating it is. It really, really sucks. Ugh. All right, but with that note, this has been Two to Ramble. I'm not even gonna outro song this. This one deserves it. You know what? Let's outro this with a depressing, somber song. All right, bye, everybody.